everyone, and welcome to Techopia Live. Thank you very much for taking the time for joining us here this afternoon on this gloomy day here in Ottawa, just after Halloween. I hope you had a spooky Halloween. We are here today, though, to talk to two amazing individuals from an organization that's done so much for entrepreneurs, startups, taking companies to the next level, and that is, of course, Allspark. So here with me, the Executive Managing Director of Allspark, Leo Lax, and right next to him, the Marketing Director, Jamie Keeley for Allspark. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, we are going to get straight into it. Just recently, you announced your cohort that you are going to spend some quality time with over the next year, and you're going to get them on track and take them to the next level. And we know there's so many exciting things happening in Ottawa and also around the country. And I know this cohort is a little bit different than maybe your past cohorts before. So maybe, Leo, I'm going to have you speak a little bit about what makes this cohort different than previous ones, and maybe you can share with us a little bit why you've decided to go this direction.
Well, thanks very much. It's great to be here, and I'm really honored to be able to address the audience over there. So this cohort has a couple of new unique capabilities. Every time after each cohort, we do a lessons learned session. We look at what was successful and what was not, and like any startup, we adjust. And we found that there was a large number of amazing entrepreneurs all around Canada who were interested in what we were offering, and therefore we spent some time and effort expanding our reach and letting the Allspark story become known in other places. As a consequence of that, our intake was from all over Canada, and of course, even the companies that were originally in our selection process, who were pitching to our selection members, came from all parts of Canada. More importantly, interestingly enough, our selection members themselves, which are the VCs, venture capital, fund managers, and executives from around the country, are also coming from around the country. So it was one of those great happenstances putting it all together. So we actually ended up with a cohort that has majority of the people from outside of Ottawa. The other part to it is we found that we were best able to address the needs of the companies in the gap area where the companies have just been able to reach a level of maturity of engaging with the customers, have just maybe gone through one seed round of funding and were just getting their money to be used to grow their businesses to some level, and needed that extra push to change their trajectory and accelerate them. And so our current cohort is very much exactly in that spot. They all have revenue. They are looking forward to growing their businesses, and I'm hoping that over the next 9 months, we'll prove to them and to everybody else that this is the way to grow a business.
Now, as you just said, we forget sometimes, Allspark has really been, when you started here, literally just down the street, you've done so much in such a short space of time and really have, include yourself into the community, and people are very much aware of what you do. You have changed also the amount of times you do your cohorts. So you used to do maybe a couple times a year, but now you're down to one. And maybe, Jamie, you can speak a little bit towards that aspect of things, of why you've decided to go maybe just one cohort. And once again, as you mentioned, Leo, it's not just any company that jumps into Allspark and anyone that applies. There's usually a bit of a framework of what obviously the ideal companies that you're looking for that really matches to what Allspark can provide and where Allspark would like to take them. So Jamie, you could speak a little bit towards that, and maybe Leo, you can add to that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. So, as you've said, we've really dove into the community and expanded our relationships. And over the past 3 years, we've grown the portfolio to 36 companies. And that ranges from early stage companies in the range of, early recurring revenue or maybe just coming to market, all the way through to more mature companies with repeatable revenue in the 10 to 30,000 in monthly recurring revenue range. And previously, we split our cohorts each year. So we would run two programs, an incubator and an accelerator program. And what we found with the earlier stage companies is while they were enthusiastic and very excited to come in and take advantage of all of the resources that we have available, once they came in, if they didn't have their product really fully immersed in the market yet, they hadn't even released the product yet, our expertise and almost our aggressive style of working on revenue growth tended to just be a bit much. They needed to focus on, you know, getting the product to market, QA testing, some beta customers, and you know, our depth of experience from our team really comes in our mentors' capabilities. So we have serial entrepreneurs and seasoned executives that have run, you know, very large enterprise software firms in the past, or telecom firms, and their strength is in finding channel and enterprise sales opportunities, and really, you know, building upon a foundation of revenue that already exists. And so we really shifted towards looking at the accelerator program as where we would spend our time and energy in growing software companies. So our focus now is in working with those companies that are coming in at 10 to 30,000 in monthly recurring revenue. We're really wanting to, you know, enable those companies who have that early revenue growth to figure out what are the foundation of metrics that they can now use as a roadmap to scale. So, you know, taking in that revenue and looking at the pricing, the cost to acquire a customer, how that compares against the lifetime value of a customer, and then creating the month-over-month growth that would be attractive for a Series A investment. And when we work with our, you know, investors in selecting and vetting our companies, because Allspark, you know, works with BDC, OMERS, a number of the investors in Novia to select our companies, the feedback that we've received is that, you know, if we focus on that repeatable revenue and month-over-month growth and bring those companies to 100K MRR, they'll be in a prime position to bring in some institutional investment towards the end of our program.
That's awesome, fantastic. Do you want to add to that maybe?
Well, there are a couple of things, you know, and I think what's happening is our industry as a whole, SaaS industry as a whole, is also maturing. We are probably in year maybe 6, 7, maybe year 10 of coming to a market with a view where everybody says the way to proceed in a software business is using this SaaS, software as a service model. Salesforce, Amazon were the ones who first started that idea in their own environments, but now it's almost become the way to get to market, the way to introduce the product to market. As a consequence of that, more and more companies are transitioning from traditional company models to the SaaS model, and that's one of the areas we found it very successful for us to grow the business. And again, in those cases, the companies are more mature, they are already engaged, and we found that our success rate of getting them to where they wanted to be, the goals that we've set for them, was much better and much more likely to happen. There is, of course, a very strong need in the market for the ideation stage of growing businesses, the next stage of what I would call the project stage, where you've taken an idea, you've created a prototype, and you project managing it towards first customer interaction. That's very important. But I see that as a place where most likely it'll be the purview of the university incubators, where the students are graduating from their environment into the next stage of growing a business, or those who are much more closely associated with them, like Invest Ottawa and other incubators, where they can take the students and early stage entrepreneurs and grow the business.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, it's fascinating when I hear aggressive approach. When it comes to sales, it needs to be aggressive, so to speak. And as you just mentioned, once again, the industry has changed so much. There's more competitors out there. The level of knowing what your product is worth, knowing your target market, knowing how to distribute and create those enterprise relationships, it's so important, especially for companies that really want to take it to the next level. So thank you for sharing that, and that's pretty exciting. Now, I am going to talk about this because it's all leading up here. It's so wonderful as this goes throughout the year. And at the end of the year, we have this get-together of ideas and CEOs, and just it's a mayhem, I want to say kaleidoscope, that's the best word I think, of tech information, and that is SaaS North that's coming up. This year, I know once again the lineup of speakers and just the day itself looks so spectacular. Now, I know this is obviously a key aspect of what you're also involved in, and what kind of represents what you stand for as well. So Jamie, maybe you can share with us a little bit about what this year kind of looks like, and what do you love about SaaS North, and what can, what can people expect?
Yeah. Thank you. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we got together, and you say Allspark's a startup. Well, we're comprised of a team of entrepreneurs, really. And so while we're supporting our companies, there's constantly ideas flowing on how we can start others.
trying to make sure that we try things out.
Exactly. So we got together and we started talking about Canada's SaaS industry and how there are so many strong success stories that exist here within Canada that might not have a light shone on them quite yet. You know, there's just recently Real Matters went public in Toronto. Hootsuite, FreshBooks, Shopify in our own backyard, but also some existing companies like Kinaxis and Halogen, Mitel moving into the cloud. So many leading industry giants that we have here, and yet there hadn't really been a meeting of the minds, a bringing together of the industry to discuss, you know, how is it that these large SaaS companies scaled. 5 to 10 years ago, SaaS was an emerging business model for software companies, and these companies kind of bruise their elbows or scrape their elbows to get to the top. And as we work with our companies to grow them, connect them to corporate incumbents and investors, we're providing them with that expertise, but in a really concentrated group of 10. So we thought, how can we bring, you know, the industry leaders together to provide tactical strategies and content towards growing the company across the board. There are many amazing startup conferences that talk about, you know, making the leap into entrepreneurship or being a founder or raising investment, but building a SaaS company goes far beyond that. There's, you know, customer success, onboarding, digital marketing, inbound and outbound. And there's a team that needs to be built right below that CEO in order to support that sustainable growth. And so I'm most excited about the content. We've really, you know, built that content over the last year and a half. We have over 80 speakers coming November 29th to 30th to Ottawa from... I know, it's amazing, and we're excited to have them come to Ottawa. You know, there are the ones that are in our own backyard. Harley will be doing a, you know, keynote fireside chat representing Shopify, but we also have a CTO coming from Facebook, and some coming from, you know, Amazon HQ. So we're excited about the breadth of expertise across the board, and in addition to that, we'll be targeting, you know, up to 1,200 attendees from across Canada's software as a service industry.
Oh, that's crazy. So, date?
November 29th through 30th. So, you know, we want to encourage.
That's right. That's very important. November 29th and 30th. But I would just want to add, if I can, this is an opportunity to learn. It is not, well, it will be fun. Yes. It'll be exciting. There will be a party. All of those things will be there. But that is the secondary objective of this. The primary objective is for us to learn from each other, because that mechanism is the one that's going to allow us to move ahead and actually grow the businesses and understand how it does. And we're going to expect people to take away hours and hours, days and days, and weeks of lesson learned that they can use in their business every day from the 2 days they're going to spend at SaaS North.
And I'll just quickly add to that, the talks and the content will be very exciting, but the opportunity to also, you know, book meetings and one-on-ones with these seasoned executives from SaaS companies that we admire, those will be there as well. We have investors coming from across the country, and in addition to, you know, some very large institutional investors like Matrix Ventures Partners, for example, taking meetings in our investor zone. So we'll also be an opportunity not just for our startup companies, but our mid-stage to scale-up companies to meet with fairly large institutional investors focused on SaaS.
Wow. Okay. So hopefully you got all that. It's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be content-driven. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all this content with us. I feel there's such a wonderful energy when I get to speak to both of you, and that's why Allspark has done so much, and it's also SaaS North has been such a success. So we're really looking forward to that. So that's November 29th and 30th coming up. So if you haven't done so already, just yet, make sure you go check it out online and get involved. Otherwise, so congratulations on the new cohort. Congratulations on all the amazing companies that's joined your team now. And we look forward to seeing what's the next step for Allspark. Thank you so much. For those of you that's watching now, make sure you join us on techopia.ca to get more information. Make sure you join us each and every single Monday and or Wednesday right here. Also, thank you very much to KRP Properties that is making all of this possible. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye.